So Joe, we hear a lot about VCF. So in your words, what is VCF?
So I think to understand anything, you've got to go back and look a little bit at where you came from and where the history is. So VCF started, 14, 15 years ago with a concept we came up with at VMware called the software-defined data center. And the vision then was, well, what if we could essentially create an operating system for data centers, that layer of software that sits on top of storage, compute, and networking, brings it all together into one layer and then presents essentially you can run any application on top of that. And so we built that out over the subsequent years at VMware, and we brought out technologies such as NSX for virtualized networking and created vSAN for virtualized storage to start to build out those components. And we got to the point by, probably 3 years ago or so, where we got to VMware Cloud Foundation, as we then called it, which was this layer of software that sort of brought that all together. So you had your virtualized compute, virtual with ESX, the hypervisor that VMware is famous for, it's the VM in VMware. We had virtualized networking in NSX, then you had that virtualized storage in vSAN. And the idea there was we should be able to swap out hardware very easily in this picture. So we shouldn't really care who runs the server, what make the server is. We just need some compute and some locally attached disk storage, which went from spinning stuff to now very expensive SSDs and NVMe and other things. And then the networking should just all happen in software. That's really what we were looking at. So that's where we got to this sort of white box thinking about data centers. And out of that came what was hyperconverged. What you now see is that huge world of hyperconverged with all those players bringing out these HCI boxes. That started as a project in the office of the CTO at VMware, which we call Project Marvin. So you bring all of these together, you get to, sort of 2 or 3 years ago, we got what was then VCF 5.2. But at the same time, we'd evolved as a company. We had, I think, something in the region of about 9,000 SKUs, which is not great if you're a customer, but even worse if you're a partner or someone trying to work out what you've got to sell to who. We had hundreds of bundles as well. It was quite confusing. So following the acquisition by Broadcom, we went through a huge simplification of how we went to market. I think that's been fairly apparent to most people, with one SKU, which is just VCF. Now that makes it a lot simpler for customers now because they just come to us and they go, what would you like to buy? Well, we only sell one thing. We sell the ultimate private cloud, the proper private cloud, the only way to do it. No longer do you have to think, well, do I need this automation widget? Do I need that bit? Will I need that? You get it all. And so as you start to evolve to it, you can really do what you want to do. And we're now finding with customers that are deploying VCF and have moved to 9.0, have started to realize that, I can now do this and that bit, and I don't have to go and the number of admins that I talk to that are so excited because that one piece of technology, usually actually in the automation and operations layer that they've always wanted, they now have access to because we just literally do this subscription product and platform of VCF. So really, what is VCF? It's a great story of how we brought together the modern private cloud, actually evolved the hardware that goes into data centers by creating entire categories of hyperconverged to the point you've got today where you can now, on premises, deploy a private cloud on any hardware you like that will be more cost effective, easier to run, and enables you to meet all your compliance goals much better than you could do in the public cloud.
No, that's great. Thanks, Joe.